So we met in his apartment in New York. This has a lot to do with Paul as a person and why he and I had a lasting friendship. He said, okay, let's go. I want to work with an actor.
In October 2025, as the world was still sad about losing the famous Robert Redford, the hidden truths of his private life slowly started to come out. Stories had been going around Hollywood for a long time, but they only really surprised the public when Amy Redford, his daughter, came forward for the first time, telling the media the secrets that were never told about the men in her father's life. According to Amy, Redford's love life was like a mystery story. He could move his whole family to Connecticut just to be close to a certain man or disappear without explanation for weeks, even months, leaving his family and work behind to go into a private world he shared with the men he loved. All the reasons about work, filming, or studying scripts were just a cover for secret meetings and private moments hidden at night. Are you curious to know who the men were that won Robert Redford's heart? A list of 5 names will be shown in the video that follows. 1. Paul Newman, a deep, lifelong love. Back in the 1970s, Hollywood started talking about rumors that the relationship between Robert Redford and Paul Newman was much more than friendship. The looks they gave each other on film sets slowly showed a deep connection, a real and lasting love that Amy Redford later said was her father's true love. Their first meeting on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1962 was a moment of fate. Newman, who was already a famous star, demanded that Redford, a not very well-known actor, be cast as the lead, not just because of his talent, but because of his complete trust in Redford's heart and artistic soul. From that moment, a special connection was created, which got even deeper in The Sting in 1973, giving Hollywood an on-screen pair whose chemistry was better than any normal standard. But their feelings did not stop when the cameras turned off. Redford moved his entire family to Connecticut, not just to be near Newman, but to enjoy every moment, living next to the man he thought of as his lifelong love. Amy told stories about how her father saw Newman as a second father, and the connection between the two families became so close it could not be separated. They shared happy times, sad times, and life's problems, from normal days to the hardest moments. Their playful tricks and shared love for cars sometimes turned into big jokes. Redford once gave Newman a crushed Porsche as a prank, and Newman responded by turning it into a work of art. These games that seemed silly actually showed their deep connection, proving they not only understood each other, but also knew how to make each other laugh even in tense moments. They also shared many beliefs beyond the screen. Newman with Newman's Own and the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang Camp, Redford with the Sundance Institute. They always supported each other's charity work, turning their friendship into an invisible thread connecting two people, and at the same time, a quiet, unspoken love. Amy Redford shared private but dramatic details. Many nights her father would secretly leave the house, walking paths he knew well to visit Newman. Whenever it got dark, I would hear the door softly close, and then my father would disappear for a while, she remembered. During family gatherings, they often went to a private corner, talking without anyone noticing. Amy remembered once hearing her father whisper to Newman, "You always know how to make me forget all my tiredness." Newman replied with bright eyes, "I just do what feels right. But you're the one who makes everything so interesting." Those private meetings never lasted long, but they were enough for Redford and Newman to enjoy peaceful, close moments. Amy shared that her father often gave Newman nice gifts, a good bottle of wine, a rare book, or a carefully chosen item, rarely doing the same for his wife or children. "We always felt like we came second," Amy admitted. "But with Newman, my father seemed to give his whole heart, careful and loving in every detail." These actions left Amy both curious and amused. "It was a love I had never seen anyone in the family have. My father kept it private, quiet, even giving up moments with the family to be with the person he thought was most important in his life." These memories stay clear in Amy Redford's mind, proof of a lifelong love that went beyond normal limits. That love was returned by Newman through private actions no one else knew about. A letter sent to Redford with the words, "You were the Sundance to my Cassidy always." A silent, lifelong promise. When Newman died in 2008, Redford admitted the huge loss. "I lost a true friend. My life and this country are better for having had him with us." During the busy days on set, Robert Redford also met Bob Woodward, who would become a close friend, best friend, and one-sided love for half a century. To Bob Woodward, a half-century of one-sided love for Robert Redford. Robert Redford and Bob Woodward met through the film All the President's Men in 1976, a work that changed both American movies and news reporting. Redford bought the rights to the book by Woodward and Bernstein, and decided to play Woodward himself on screen. The moment the two sat face to face to talk about Redford becoming Woodward, a relationship that went beyond art began to form. Redford, with his calm behavior and charm, quickly attracted Woodward, a smart reporter with complicated emotional depth. From there, they became close friends for over 50 years. But behind the public handshakes and media respect was a secret few people knew. Woodward often told close friends that he held Redford in complete admiration, not just as the actor who brought him to the screen, but as a man he both respected and wanted to love. During film promotions, they were sometimes seen quietly having dinner together, talking without end, as if they had found a rare understanding of each other. Woodward once told a story about a time when he and Redford dated briefly. Late nights after movie screenings, they would leave the crowds and go to the private space of a quiet hotel. Woodward rarely showed weakness, but with Redford his eyes showed admiration and desire. To him, Redford was not just a Hollywood star, but a man with strong beliefs willing to stand against lies, something that deeply pulled Woodward in. However, Redford's heart was at that time firmly attached to Paul Newman. The friend, the secret lover, the man Redford admitted changed his life. Although Redford felt Woodward's real attention, he could not give his love completely. Their brief secret romance burned briefly like a fire in the night and quickly went out. For Woodward, the hurt never healed. He often called Redford a close friend, but behind the formal words was the quiet pain of love that was not returned. In interviews, Woodward praised Redford as a force of honesty and goodness. Yet few people realized this was also his way of showing feelings he had held back for decades. Throughout his life, Redford never publicly admitted anything beyond friendship with Woodward. He valued the presence of the well-known reporter as an intellectual support while keeping distance, a caution to protect his secret love for Newman. His occasional avoidance of very personal questions about Woodward made the public guess more, though he never confirmed it. Woodward carried this regret for decades. He once wrote in his journal, "Redford is the person I respect more than anyone." But respect can sometimes be a cover for a love that cannot be named. Even though Redford never loved him back, Woodward continued to keep their friendship, supporting him in every statement and memorial event. When Redford passed away, Woodward openly stated that he loved and admired Redford, not only for friendship, but for the burning honesty he left behind. To many, it was a formal goodbye. But for those who understood their secret connection, it was also a sad sound from a man who had loved, hoped, and finally was left with silent pain for over half a century. Another man who captured Robert Redford's heart was the fiery, passionate Dustin Hoffman, an opposite force to Redford's calm nature. 3. Dustin Hoffman, opposites that created a short love. When All the President's Men began filming in 1975, Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman were seen as complete opposites, one cold and calm, the other explosive and spontaneous. Yet this difference created an attraction they could not resist. At first, they spent long hours reading the script together, practicing lines, watching each small movement to copy the chemistry of Woodward and Bernstein in real life. These late-night sessions went beyond talking about their lines. They opened a private, undeniable connection. Crew members remembered that Redford often found excuses to stay near Hoffman. After each scene, he wouldn't leave with the team, but stayed by Hoffman, whispering advice and laughing at his co-stars' jokes. Once during a lunch break, Redford took Hoffman's hand and pulled him aside to talk. This loving gesture started gossip. Could there be more than work ties? Hoffman, known for his hot temper, seemed calmer with Redford, sometimes looking at him with a strange look. Many on set saw Hoffman naturally lean on Redford's shoulder during breaks. It was no longer acting. It was closeness beyond the script. Redford appeared unashamed, letting his hand rest lightly on Hoffman's back as a form of comfort. They often left the set together, disappearing for hours before coming back to the hotel. Rumors spread that they rented a small apartment near the set for several weeks under the excuse of building chemistry. But crew members said they heard their laughter going late into the night, mixed with long silences that only the two of them understood. When the film came out, their on-screen chemistry became legendary. Yet few people knew the truth behind the scenes was even more intense. Redford often hugged Hoffman from behind at backstage parties, not afraid of curious eyes. One reporter wrote that they seemed impossible to separate, Redford looking at Hoffman with unbelievable tenderness for a Hollywood superstar who was usually so distant. Hoffman on rare occasions hinted at Redford as the love I cannot lose. He never publicly confirmed the relationship, but his unclear interview answers made people guess more. Hoffman admitted feeling protected around Redford, and that they spent sleepless nights talking about faith, career, and personal loneliness. Redford told a friend that Hoffman reminded him of Newman, but also not Newman, a statement that was both revealing and painful. He was torn between his deep love for Paul Newman and the growing feelings for Hoffman. Rumors finally faded as both Redford and Hoffman chose silence. But those present on the 1975 set remember clearly two men walking hand in hand out of the screening room, smiling in the darkness as if the world outside did not exist. It was a love without a name, quiet yet unforgettable to those who saw it. Finally, this was Redford's first love, full of longing and youthful awkwardness. A man his daughter believes Redford never forgot. 4. Dore Schary. The innocent, foolish first love. Robert Redford entered the world of art as a young man, awkward, full of big dreams, yet still not sure of himself. It was during this time that he met Dore Schary, a powerful person on Broadway, a creative icon, and the father of one of Redford's classmates. Upon their first meeting, Schary not only saw in Redford the potential of an actor, but also lit in him a new kind of light, a light of admiration, passion, and desire that Redford had never felt for anyone else. When Schary agreed to produce the play The Highest Tree in 1959, Redford saw it as a miracle. It was not just an early career chance, but also a doorway to be near the man who moved his heart. On the Broadway stage, among the bright lights and applause, Redford knew that every success he got had the mark of Schary on it. He called it a moment of fate. Yet in his heart, it was also the beginning of a one-sided love. Schary, with his mature and experienced manner, often treated Redford like a student. They talked about scripts, acting skills, and work ethics. But for Redford, every word of advice, every glance from Schary carried a different meaning. These were not just work lessons, but exciting touches from the man he admired. Redford once told a close friend that he was drawn to Schary like the moon is drawn to the Earth's orbit, unable to escape, yet unable to reach. Yet this feeling never crossed boundaries. Schary was a busy producer, a family man who never showed any sign of returning the feelings. Redford suffered quietly, hiding his desire in rehearsals and brief meetings. He chose to stay silent, seeing it as the most beautiful yet painful one-sided love of his life. For many years after, even as a Hollywood superstar, Redford carried Schary's image with him. In his Connecticut home, his daughter revealed there was a drawer full of old photos, with a prominent one showing a smiling Schary backstage on Broadway. "Father always kept that photo, never letting it go," she said. It was silent proof of a love never admitted. Redford's relatives often wondered why he rarely spoke of his young romances. Yet whenever Schary's name came up, his eyes softened like a child looking at his first hero. Without words, everyone sensed that an invisible bond existed between them, a love locked in silence. Redford's love for Dore Schary was a lasting, sharp pain throughout his life. For years he only dared to look, keeping a safe distance, knowing that taking another step could break the delicate line between hero and lover. Every glance Schary gave, every piece of advice, every gesture of care made Redford's heart shake. Yet he stayed silent, never daring to confess. On some nights, Redford would sit alone in his small Broadway apartment. looking at photos of Schary hung on the wall or secretly tucked in drawers, wondering if he dared speak. Would Schary love him back, or would he refuse? The fear of losing this precious teacher-student connection made him suffer the pain in silence, letting this love remain a secret unknown to anyone. When Schary passed away, Redford did not appear before the press to mourn, but it was said that he sat alone for a long time in a dark room in front of the wooden desk where Sherry's framed photo was placed. No words, only heavy silence. Throughout his life, Redford never confessed these feelings, but anyone who understood him knew Dore Schary was his one-sided love, the deepest admiration he carried to the end of his days. Not only Newman, Robert Redford also secretly dated several other men over his lifetime, such as Sidney Pollack, a brilliant partner on set. 5. Sidney Pollack, the secret lover, companion through every challenge. Robert Redford and Sidney Pollack were not just talented partners, but also had a relationship that went beyond normal work limits. They first met on the set of War Hunt in 1962, when both were not very well known. There, an invisible spark lit a personal attraction between them that could not be explained. Pollack quickly turned to directing, and Redford saw in him the only person able to understand and unlock his deepest creative instincts. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Pollack and Redford stayed closely bonded through major projects. Jeremiah Johnson, The Way We Were, 3 Days of the Condor, Out of Africa. People noticed a refined, controlled, and bright Redford under Pollack's camera, as if the director knew how to unlock the deepest hidden emotions inside him. And this connection went beyond the set. After intense filming scenes, the two would often disappear from the crew's sight, only to appear together at late dinners or quietly slip into a nearby hotel. Redford, usually reserved and private in relationships, found a spiritual safe place in Pollack. Redford's daughter revealed that her father often spent long days away from home, and the reason was not the work he claimed. She admitted hearing him tell her mother many times that he had to go over to Sydney to discuss the script. But in truth, those were evenings Redford did not return home to be near Pollack, both a partner and a feeling that went beyond normal friendship. With Pollack, Redford was a free-spirited actor, stubborn yet tender in his view of the world. Their director-actor relationship was like a subtle dance. Pollack controlled the rhythm. Redford contained his emotions, releasing them at the right moment. Crew members remembered seeing Pollack look at Redford with a look hard to define. Part director, part man, enchanted by someone he could not leave. During backstage parties, while everyone else enjoyed themselves, Redford and Pollack often quietly went to a corner, speaking, whispering, and laughing softly as if the outside world did not exist. Once after filming Out of Africa in Kenya, the crew discovered Redford and Pollack had disappeared for hours. When they returned, both wore matching coats, hair wet with night dew. No one asked, yet everyone understood. Redford's trust in Pollack went not only to work, but to emotions. He did not let any other director influence his role decisions deeply except Pollack. Rumor has it that Redford once refused a major project simply because Pollack was not involved, seeing his career as impossible to separate from that man. This dependence led many to believe a secret romance existed, hidden beneath the cover of artistic partnership. Both were private, and in a Hollywood full of gossip and forbidden sexuality, they chose silence. But small pieces of evidence, nights, in hotels, long private trips, whispered conversations after the set, were enough to create a different story. A love that could not be named, forbidden from being shown, yet burned silently in the background of their legendary films. When Pollack passed away in 2008, Redford felt he had lost a love he had never publicly admitted. He told the press, "I lost my other half in art." But those close to him knew these words were not only about movies. They were a late goodbye to a secret love that had fed his soul for decades. The list of 5 men Robert Redford secretly dated immediately shocked the public. From close partners, on set to the men he deeply admired, every look exchanged, every secret holding of hands, every private meeting, all stayed hidden for decades. Among them, the most prominent was Paul Newman, the lover Redford quietly cherished, a deep love buried in his heart for decades. And can you guess who Redford secretly dated? These secret love stories truly make us think again about the complicated, sensitive, and deeply emotional man he was. If you find it interesting and want to discover more untold secrets about Hollywood stars, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a single video.